Hi there, folks. Phoenix Aurelius here. Thank you so much for joining me for this laboratory report for July 2024 for the Phoenix Aurelius Research Academy. July was very full. We started off by finishing a 5-gallon batch of the spagyric tincture of cilantro that I had started in June and getting that out the door so that we'd be able to prepare for the Good Medicine Confluence. About half of the month was actually spent just in preparation, in execution, and recovery from the Good Medicine Confluence, as typical July ends up kind of being year after year. So yeah, it's a tremendous amount of preparation. This year was even harder because I was not only doing a hands-on demonstration of ultrasonication, so I needed to bring herbs and jars and a big ultrasonicator for everybody to use in a big classroom style environment, but I was also demonstrating how spagyric tinctures are made from beginning to end live in a 2.5 hour period. It was maybe the first time that has ever been done in history. The only thing that we couldn't actually do is calcination on set. And of course, if we did do calcination, would have driven it out a lot longer. In order to be able to do it, I had to have all of the parts already kind of done. Typically, even when I have all of the parts already done and made, in order to show people what is going on, it takes 3 full days to do that. It's like at minimum 8 hour days, 3 days in a row, in order to be able to show the entire work. And even at that, you don't get to see the tincture actually sitting and incubating for 2 weeks when you're making the tincture, or having the salts incubate for at least 8 days on the back end. You don't get to see those things. I already have to have them done, or I have to speed react them using ultrasonication here in the lab. So in order to actually show all of that, it really pushed me to my limits, and my creativity, the amount of preparation that I needed to have for that was outstanding. It was unreal, the amount of preparation. And of course, without any other lab hands here besides myself to prepare all of that, make the lists, get everything, travel with it, and then go and demonstrate it, it was really kind of a personal victory, a feat of something that I knew when I created that class, that it was like, oh, I'm doing something that's never been done before. But then to be able to have it go off as it did was fantastic. And of course, all of the attendees got to see how much work actually goes into the creation of a spagyric tincture, and got to kind of see why the prices are the way that they are, and also ask themselves, well, if you only charge that much for spagyric tinctures, why are other herbal practitioners charging what they're charging for their products? Good question. So at any rate, it was a very, very cool, very fun time. Got to hang out with some very dear friends. Some names that you guys might know would be Ash Ritter, who we interviewed on the Alchemiculture podcast. We also got to hang out with Warren Kistenbroker. Again, he was one of our interviews on the Alchemiculture podcast. It's always wonderful, actually, when we get to hang out with Warren. I just love him, love his energy. And some shenanigans happened where the DJ who was supposed to play every year at the Good Medicine Confluence, there's always like a fairy masquerade. And the DJ had just dropped out and opted to go and do another event that same weekend. It was a complete shit show in that regard. And so I talked with Warren, and our other very dear friend, James, James Thompson from here in Utah, who came with us. They were able to split a set, and it couldn't have actually been more perfect. The music was so amazing and so outstanding, and yeah, just left everybody on a high note as per usual. And on the back end, in order to get home, we can either drive through Moab, or we can take kind of the scenic route that takes us eventually through Grand Junction back home. And we opted for the scenic route. We had driven there 2 years ago with Owen, but Owen didn't have the opportunity to stay the night, and so we couldn't really stop and experience all of the magic that Ouray has to offer. But the drive from Durango up through Silverton is outstanding. There are some really amazing scenic views. Like when you think of like Rocky Mountain majesty, like that is one of the things that will always stand out in my mind, is that drive from Durango through Silverton. And then you drop down through Silverton and drop into Ouray. And Ouray is basically like the Swiss Alps of the United States. It's an absolutely extraordinary spot. And there are tons of hot springs everywhere in that town. We stayed at this cool little spot called the Wiesbaden Motel, and they have these amazing steam caves of natural hot springs water that comes up in these underground caverns that just, it's like a natural sauna environment, but 100% generated by the natural steam water bubbling up through the earth. And it was really just magical. We got to stay there with our friends James and Kayla and had a fantastic time. And we were very ready after that, though, to come home and get situated back into our normal routine, our normal environment, make meals for ourselves, all the things that being out for a while does not allow us the opportunity to do. Yeah, so we did really well, though, at the Good Medicine Confluence. This was hands down the best year. It helped that it was just Nori and I, and that we didn't have Owen or another lab hand to pay. That definitely helped to increase the potential profits that were made. But most years we walk away from that event maybe breaking even, maybe a couple $100 for the business, which for the amount of preparation time and other things, if you broke it down, we'd probably be making less than 20 cents an hour in the last couple of years. We did a couple of grand this time over the top of our expenses, which if we were to break it down with all the preparation time, all the time teaching, and all the things that you don't get compensated for and whatever else, it still was probably only like $15 an hour that we're getting paid. But we do those events kind of as a labor of love and because we love the community and other things anyway. So it's not always about that, but it was definitely a great thing counting the money drawer and taking the till and being able to balance everything out and see like, wow, we actually did pretty good this year. So that was really awesome. Let's see. Right before we left for the Good Medicine Confluence, we announced that we were holding a couple of immersion study opportunities in September. And during the time that we were gone, those all sold out. So if you were thinking about joining those, I'm sorry, at the present moment, it is too late. We already made a couple of exceptions to fill the classes more full than what our maximum occupancy was stated to be on the website. So they are chock full right now, like absolutely full to the brim. I don't think that we are going to be able to have another one of those in this location before we move to West Virginia. So if you caught in, absolutely fantastic. If not, you're going to have to wait a while until we can get a facility set up in West Virginia. And of course, doing private immersion studies will be a little bit more feasible because we only have like one extra person to really feed and take care of and host during the time that we're in West Virginia. It's going to take us a little while because there's no accommodation nearby where we're there. And actually, when we're in West Virginia, we're 2 hours to the nearest international airport or even major national airport. So it's a jaunt. It's definitely going to take a lot more effort to get there. There's going to be a lot of cool payoffs, like you're literally right in the middle of the woods. We can literally just go wild harvesting anytime that we want. There's a lot of really cool things about it, but it's not going to be as easily as accessible as this. There's not going to be easier places to stay and other things. And a big part of our journey here, we moved into this spot with the idea that we'd be able to host a lot more of these group immersion studies. And we did a pretty decent amount of them. COVID era kind of put a little bit of a damper on that for a little bit, but we've had a decent amount of group studies and we've had a lot of private immersion studies here at this facility. And this one coming up in September will kind of be the big hoorah, the one to send them all off. So I'm very excited about that. And for those of you who are signed up for that class, I'm very excited for you to come and study. We have a very full curriculum. I will be teaching for 7 days straight. For students, it's 8 hours a day. For me, it's closer to 12 to 14 hours a day with preparation in the mornings and then cleanup in the evenings and then switching everything around between the workshops. So it's going to be really, really, really full. But there's going to be some really great folks here, and I'm very excited for it. So, Let's see. Also in July, I worked some more with a couple of IDF clients. There are two clients in particular that I'm working with. These are still just family and friends. I'm not taking on other clients or taking on other requests, but there are two clients in particular that I'm working with, both of which have somewhat involved, one of them has extremely involved health crises that we are investigating and addressing, and another one just has some, I would say, pretty moderate types of things that we're taking a look at, but they are a lot of work. They're taking up most of my work week. Just for instance, just last week, I thought that what would take me maybe Monday actually took me Monday through Friday to do, because sometimes when you get into the work, you think you know what is the most likely causation, but then sometimes causations can pop up that you would not have anticipated, and that takes you down a whole rabbit hole of needing to do more investigation and more investigation and more investigation. And so what I thought I would finish last week on one day, I'm still actually working on today. So that takes up a lot of time. As a result, it's kind of pushing back the publication dates of my book, but at the same time, when I weigh one against the other, is it more important to take care of my friends and family, or more important for me to hit some arbitrary timeline that I've created for myself in publishing a book? I personally feel that the former is a little bit more important. So there will be a line drawn in the sand at some point, but for right now, I'm still going to be working on these clients. You may have noticed that we also launched our Mother Earth minerals during July. There are so many great minerals that we have available now. A lot of people don't think of minerals as being super critical to medicine. Instead, they would take like an herbal medicine as opposed to just taking proper minerals. And a big part of that actually is because of the nutraceutical industry and how they combine them with like really cheap ingredients and capsulize them in a not so bioavailable way. So people who are like actually magnesium deficient can be taking magnesium every day and still not getting the right forms of magnesium that they need in their system. And again, a huge part of that is because of the nutraceutical industry. And the reason why we started carrying Mother Earth minerals is, first of all, to provide our family, our friends, and my personal clients with a really, really high grade mineral that is angstrom in size, which angstrom size minerals are really important for a number of reasons. One is that angstrom particles are the same size particles that plants use when they make the minerals bioavailable to themselves. So they're very, very small. Also, they can be absorbed at the cellular level, and if they're not needed by the cell, then they get excreted by the cell and then excreted by the body's natural filtration processes, namely through digestion, urination. As a result, they're very hard to overdose on, and they are also absolutely unparalleled in terms of their bioavailability. They're available at the cellular level. And if your body needs, like for instance, zinc is one of the minerals that is absolutely necessary for all digestive functions, as well as immune functions and cellular replication functions and DNA and tons of other things. But if you have, say, the amino acid carnitine inside of your body already through your diet, and you're lacking zinc, angstrom zinc can bind to that carnitine or carnosine rather, and make zinc carnosine and help to assist all of the epithelial tissue, especially in the digestive tract and in nasal epithelial tissue and other things like that. It's very, very critical there. Whereas if you have these other forms of zinc that are not not as bioavailable and not as adaptable as angstrom-sized particles are, then what ends up happening is that your body first has to take whatever form it is, like picolinate, for instance, and break that apart, and that takes a certain amount of energy for the body's biological processes to do it. Then it has to take that zinc and then distribute it to where it's needed the most by breaking it down with other enzymes and bacteria and other things. And by the time that you've taken that whole supplement, you've maybe got 20 to 30% of what was in that supplement. With angstrom minerals, you get about 100%, no less than 95% of what you're taking. And so that's a really, really, really huge thing. You're not wasting money. They're in a liquid form. They are very easy to take. They're easy to get children to take. And they have unlike nutraceutical supplements, they have very, very, very little risk for overdoing them or for, accidentally overdosing yourself with a certain mineral. And for that reason, they are actually significantly safer to take in our experience than just about any other mineral supplement that we've seen as well. So we love those. Ones that I personally feel need to be on everybody's shelf are Mineral of Life, without a doubt. Also, for most people, having potassium is really, really critical. You can't buy many potassium supplements that even come anywhere near 5% of your daily recommended value, because if you take too much potassium in those crude forms, it can cause heart attack and stroke and all sorts of other things, and it can disrupt the sodium and potassium kind of pump system of the body, and so it can be really dangerous. With these, not nearly as dangerous, and potassium is one of those critical electrolytes that a lot of people are also missing and not getting enough of, especially in relationship to how much sodium they have in their body, and keeping that healthy balance of sodium and potassium is really critical. So potassium is an important one. By national statistics, we think that somewhere around 80 to 87% of the population in America is deficient in magnesium. So having magnesium around is really important. And along with that, calcium. If you have really good sodium chloride, if you have potassium, calcium, magnesium, you have some of the most important hydrating electrolytes that circulate through your bloodstream. And so we feel that having those around are absolutely critical. Other ones that are really important are iron, copper, and zinc. Again, these are necessary for the healthy formation of red blood cells. A lot of people that are facing anemia and other things like that, they know that they need to have a lot of iron. They know that they need to have a certain amount of copper and zinc, also selenium. And so those ones are really important for certain populations, especially all women. Basically, if you're a woman, you should really consider having those in your apothecary or in your home medicine cabinet, because you need to replenish so many of those red blood cells after your monthly cycle. It's just a really important thing to be able to keep up on. So all of these are great. Like I said, I've actually kept myself alive in numerous different occasions where I was suffering from some really crazy things with those minerals in particular. So they're the only mineral company that I personally stand behind. I've tried tons and tons and tons of different minerals, whether they're encapsulated or liquid or ionic or whatever else. The ionic angstrom minerals that we carry are the only ones that I can actually stand behind. They're also the only ones that I suggest to clients. So really glad to have those available now. At the end of July, Nori and I recorded a bunch of IDF and CHIO videos, kind of explaining what IDF is, explaining different CHIO options, why we have the different CHIO options, explaining also the SE5, and just kind of providing some more details about it, what comes with it, things like that. Of course, we've been a reseller of SE5s for many years now. They're only recently up on the website, but we have taken over the entire CHIO business for Dr. Don Paris. And so we have a lot of different CHIO instruments, and getting some information out there as to like what they are and what they do and how they're used and things like that are really important. At present, we have 25 of the CHIO brand IDF hologram cards that can be used with the CHIO instruments, but anybody who has an SE5 can make custom IDF hologram cards for those CHIOs as well. That's part of what we do, and in fact, we have been making our own custom cards for a lot of CHIO clients for many years, but we also are starting to make our own brand of kind of more generic cards, but things that are much more in depth than the traditional CHIO thing. So like we'll have one for gastric wellness, we have one for astral and etheric wellness that includes every single meridian and all of the chakras and all of the fascial lines and fascial planes and lots and lots and lots of different types of things there. So we're really excited to have all of those. We have a limited number of some really beautiful teak wood room balancers too that if I were y'all, I would definitely be getting those. Once those teakwood ones are done, they're done. And in fact, once all of the supply of the CHIO stuff sells out, that Don Paris had, it's done. I'm not interested in keeping that around. There's going to be newer technologies that are coming to the fore in future years. So all of these are basically like, here's your chance, and if you don't get them now, between now and whenever they sell out, then I think you missed your boat. And that's kind of a sad thing. Partially historically, these are going to be looked back on and be like, wow, those were really amazing instruments. And the other thing is that they're unparalleled in their efficacy if you know how to utilize them properly. So we've got some remote balancers, and that is a really great entry level radionics instrument that if you don't want to be doing analysis all day, just getting one of those can actually help you get into the field of radionics or psionics, psychotronics. There's lots of different types of names. So yeah, that's really cool. And all of the other things, we think that the room balancers are probably, room and personal balancers are probably the most versatile tools out of all of the ones that we have, though. And I think that everybody needs to get one personally. If you don't understand enough about IDF or whatever else, don't hesitate to ask. Like, drop your questions or comments or whatever in the video down below, because that can create things that I can talk about. I don't know what you don't know, but you know what you don't know. So ask, and then I can help to explain it. Let's see, also during July, we added 2 new formulations to the website, Cardioplex and NeuroSync. We made those for the Good Medicine Confluence, and we absolutely love how those formulations turned out. One of them, Neuroplex, is for neurocognition, memory, intelligence, different types of things like that. And Cardioplex, of course, is for cardiovascular wellness. And they're both very limited edition runs. We made them just for the Good Medicine Confluence, so once they sell out, they are gone. There is a good chance that I will be remaking them again at some point in the future, but as we are toning things down in preparation to move, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that I build up the apothecary. Part of what we're doing is trying to sell out the apothecary so that we don't have all that liquid weight and all of that fragile glass and other things that we need to move with. It will facilitate our move massively, which is why we're holding a really big sale. So if you are interested in either of those, I suggest hopping on it and getting on it right now. We sold a lot already at the Good Medicine Confluence, and I've seen a couple of orders come in recently where they're also included in the orders. So if you're interested in either of those, like, seriously, hop on, do not delay, hop on and get those immediately, because I guarantee by the time that you think about it again, they're probably going to be sold out. Towards the end of July, we put almost all of our fresh spagyric tinctures on a huge clearance, 50 to 60% off. Most of them are 60% off. If you haven't already, be sure to stock up on all of those. Those are really, really great medicines, but it's a great way for us to be able to eliminate a lot of stock and help you all out. There's some absolutely fantastic ones on there. I think the only ones that are excluded from that I can think of are fresh ginger, which is just as potent now as when we first made it, and fresh ghost pipe, same thing. Some other fresh things do have a little bit of a shelf life on them, and so you probably have about 2 years from now in order to use those materials, but they are still absolutely fantastic. They're still very potent right now, and they're at huge discounts. So be sure to take a look at those if you're interested in supporting our move and getting some really awesome product as a result. Again, 50 to 60% off is nothing to scoff at. So even amongst all the rest of the insanity that happened in July and all of the traveling and recovery and all the other things, I was still able to carve out some time to be in the lab, not just finish off the 5-gallon run of spagyric cilantro, but I also finished and released mistletoe spagyric tincture, dong quai spagyric tincture, ashwagandha spagyric tincture, American ginseng root spagyric tincture, black turmeric, which is a freeze-dried spagyric tincture. We got that fresh, freeze-dried it ourselves. Shatavari spagyric tincture and alpine galangal spagyric tincture, and I still have a bunch of others that are kind of in line to be finished. So there will be a couple of more releases probably between now and October, but yeah, these are some really great ones. Most of them, like alpine galangal, we've had before in the past. If you haven't tried that one, do yourself a favor and actually at least pick up a 5 ml of that. It is one of the most amazing flavors ever. I don't know how many of you are actually getting creative with your use of spagyric tinctures and including them in cocktails, in mocktails, in culinary arts and things like that, but alpine galangal goes so great in just about any curry that you can imagine, especially well paired with coconut style Thai curries. It just takes the flavor level to a whole new thing. Also, we have alpine turmeric, which is also known as zedawari. It's in the apothecary as zedawari. Aleister Crowley used to use zedawari and alpine galangal together to enhance psychic faculties, and that has been, ever since I had read about that, maybe 2002, 2003, I've been personally utilizing those either as an incense or as spagyric tinctures and formulations during all of my own psychic sessions. So I think that it's really important that people understand how amazing the alpine galangal is. If you get it with a spray cap, do not breathe in as you spray it in your mouth. It has a tendency, it's very potent and warming, and it will steal your breath away a little bit. So it is very strong in that regard, but it'll literally take your breath away, I guess. But it is a fantastic herb with a wonderful flavor, very warming to spleen, very good as a digestive, especially if you guys are looking to take any sort of digestive herbs. It's absolutely fantastic to take before a meal. And most of the other ones we've already had in. The only one that we didn't was, actually two of them. Shatavari, we've been out of shatavari for a very long time. We have its cousin, red asparagus root, already, but shatavari was not in there, and black turmeric. We will also be releasing green turmeric and freeze-dried standard turmeric and regular dried standard turmeric here in the next couple of weeks. We know that you guys absolutely love the turmeric varieties. The black turmeric in particular is a little bit more bitter, so it is more cooling to the system. Therefore, it's more suited to individuals that have a lot of heat, as well as individuals that have conditions in Ayurveda that would be diagnosed as pitta imbalances, particularly pitta imbalances in the liver. So but black turmeric has significantly more curcumin content than standard turmeric. It is much more anti-inflammatory in that regard. So all of these I'm really excited about all of the other things that I've been working on that will hopefully be finished here in the next little while. Again, it's only me here in the lab, and I'm splitting lab duties with all of the other functions and getting started also on the 2025 astronomological calendar. So I've got a lot on my plate right now, but we're making it work, and fortunately we're still in summer and still have some long days. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, and as always, we want to thank you so much for all of your support here at the Phoenix Aurelius Research Academy. We literally could not be doing this work without you, and if there's anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comment section below and let us know.